What's up, YouTube? This is Vernacular TV. If you like the content that I'm producing, please like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Like one of my favorite rappers, Tupac Amaru Shakur, like he would say, they got money for war, but they can't feed the poor. Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, you got money for war, but you can't feed the poor. $13.5 billion to Ukraine. President Joe Biden is asking Congress to approve $13.5 billion to Ukraine. They got money for war, but they can't feed the poor. When poor people in this country talk about help from the government, they are demonized as, oh, it's socialism. Oh, it's socialism. If government do something for the people, it's socialism. But you got $13.5 billion to give to Ukraine on this war effort, but you cannot feed the poor. Look at San Francisco. It's a mess. Look at California with the homelessness. It's a mess. Take care of home. Look at Chicago. The gang violence. Look at New York. The gang violence. You got money for war, but you can't feed the poor. I am not speaking for ADOS, American Descendant of Slaves, or FBA, Foundation of Black Americans. These political movements in the United States pressing the United States government based on reparation claim for their forebearers. They are asking to be compensated for the labor that was done during the 200-300 years of the slave trade. When you talk about reparation in this country, that conversation is very divisive. But why is it not divisive that you can take $13.5 billion and give it to Ukraine when home is in trouble? Like Tupac Amaru Shakur would say, they got money for war but can't feed the poor. Just like if you happen to say that you would give $13.5 billion to African American community, white folk in this country will lose their mind. But yet $13.5 billion is being given to Ukraine for his war effort with Russia. That begs the question, is Ukraine's interest much more important than home? The roads are becoming dilapidated, breaking down. The bridges are breaking down. People are losing their homes every day. But they got money for war. They can't feed the poor. The last 20 years, we have been in nothing but perpetual war, perpetual conflict. Ever since 9/11, that tragedy brought about a new foreign policy and a new course of action by the United States government. From Iraq to Libya to Syria, the conflict is just brewing and brewing. But now, this conflict is of epic proportion. You are dealing with a nuclear power in Russia. Russia have over 20,000 nuclear warheads, interballistic missiles, supersonic missiles. Now, you're having people saying that the United States and NATO need to declare a no-fly zone in Ukraine, over Ukraine's skyline, to keep America bogged down in another war, and all her treasure, and resources to be spent abroad on a foreign country that don't care much about America, in all honesty. So when Black American, African American descendant of slave, and ADOS, African American descendant of slaves, FBA, Foundation of Black Americans, as these political movement, I am not a spokesperson for them, but as they ask for reparation, as they bring about the conversation about African American descendants of slaves being compensated for their full bearer label, why is there a problem? But yet we are giving Ukraine $13.5 billion to wage war. Like Tupac would say, they got money for war but can't feed the poor. Joe Biden, as you say, black people put you in the office. Stacey Abrams in Atlanta, Georgia, she rallied the truth for you, man. She rallied the truth for you. I know the conversation on reparation is always controversy, and that conversation going to continue to take place within the society spirit. But bring the money back home. Let's build the roads. Let's put the money back in our educational system. Help the projects out. Chicago. Help to quell the gang violence so little children can play in their neighborhoods. Let's focus on what matters. When FBA, Foundation of Black American, ADOS asks for reparation, the white dominant society shouldn't always be on the edge because you got money for war, but you can't take care of home. Come on, Joe Biden. Black people put you in office, as you said. Come on. Come on. Invest in the community. Invest in the African American community. If the reparation conversation is on the table, do something about it. Do something about it. Why America can't be mad? You giving out $13.5 billion to a foreign government to wage war. Come on, Joe Biden. You can do better.